The reason you're so locked in on this people become nester thing is because in the previous video you mentioned how he started acting like a nester when he was setting up a home camp and how it looked like the nester showed. Oh yeah, that is true. I mean, he does definitely have the mannerisms because he does basically set up a little nest. He like creates like a little area that he feels safe to sleep in and stuff, and he kind of like stacks up his stuff there. Although it seems throughout the newer videos he kind of lessened up on that habit, but it's still pretty similar. You know what I mean? It is I think it is a good possibility though. I think it is. I think that is a very possible theory. There's so many theories. There's so many ways we can interpret this, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Alright. I think this is all done, right?
In process
Let's see if they
logs
have anything
and
else to
assisting
say.
me in deciding which footage gets released next. Please see the link below. Every support that we get helps us keep the archives going so we can continue our work. So thank you so much, and stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant. Stay vigilant. Okay. Nice. I like that. I liked it a lot. I can't wait for the next episode. I'm excited. I'm kind of surprised by the time I got to this current episode, because it took me so long to get to it, that they didn't release another one, but hey, it kind of works out. 40-minute one. Okay. Right? I'm so excited. It's gonna be so good. Okay, let's check out this one that Ash has sent me. First, let me do this. Copy that. Okay, and this one. Sorry, I gotta do the video credit. I wish I didn't use a 2 PC setup for situations like this because it would make this so much easier. Is that snack? Yeah, Spino snack. Spino snack! Let's do this! Let me pull back up chat so I can see. You don't know if it's good or not, but it looks good. I mean, I do agree. It does look good. Oh, it says a movie. Oh, shit. This is long. I simulated every prehistoric sea monster in the Modern Ocean, the movie. Okay, well, let's start to watch it and we'll see what happens. I don't know if we're gonna watch all 2 hours. That's a lot. So I don't know if we're gonna watch 2 hours, but we might at least watch, you know, a little bit of this. We'll see where we're at.
The year's today, somewhere off the
give it
coast
a
of
little
Baja,
judge.
California. A baby shark is born into an ocean that has not seen its kind for 3.5 million years. This isn't good news for anyone, because this particular baby is already 2 meters long, weighs about 150 pounds, and belongs to the largest predatory shark that has ever lived. Within 20 years, it will need to consume the caloric equivalent of a killer whale just to survive 1 month, which raises an interesting question about the modern ocean's ability to carry this organism. But that is a concern for later though, because right now you
That's a
have more
pretty
immediate
fucking
problems,
massive
like the
shit
fact
in
that
the
you're
ocean.
a baby Megalodon and everything wants to eat you. You were born on a Tuesday in a shallow bay off the coast of Baja, California. And the first thing you notice is that your mother is nowhere to be found. She hates you. You're an orphan now, which is completely normal because just like my dad, sharks don't do parenting, and honestly that's probably for the best given what you're about to become. You're already 2 meters long, which is roughly the size of a full-grown human, and you weigh about 150 pounds. So you didn't exactly
pretty
have a
big
gentle
starting
entry
area.
into the world. The water here is warm, hovering around 24 degrees Celsius, and while that might sound impressive, it's actually warmer than it should be for this latitude. So thanks climate change, this is the one and only time that you're going to be benefiting from human activity. Back when your species was thriving about 3.5 million years ago, nurseries were scattered around places like Panama, the Canary Islands, and what's now Maryland. All of them shallow bays with warm water and tons
That
of
is kind of
food.
a
And this
weird
bay
that
off
It would
fits
be in
that
shallow
description pretty
bays.
well, except for one critical difference, which is that the Miocene Ocean was consistently warm across huge areas, whereas now you're in a thin strip of acceptable water surrounded by temperatures that would slow you down to the point where you would mostly be useless. But you don't know that yet because you're about 6 minutes old and your main concern is the fact that you're extremely hungry, which is a problem that
Well, I
you're
mean,
going to
I
have
don't
for the
think that
rest of
there's
your
gonna be
life.
a whole
So
lot
you
of
might as well get used to it now. Your
desire
first
there.
meal is a grouper that weighs about 30 pounds, and you eat it in 2 bites, which feels efficient until you realize that you're still hungry because your metabolism is designed for an ocean that no longer exists. So you spend the next few hours cruising the shallows
Yeah,
looking
because
for
there's a
anything
lot
big enough to be
bigger
worth
shit
the effort.
swimming
Eventually you
around.
find a 4-foot shark. It's some kind of reef shark that was minding its own business until you showed up, and you eat it whole
Yeah, it
because
was
you
minding
can,
its own
and because in
business.
evolutionary terms, eating a shark on your first day is what professionals call a power move. The other sharks in the area get the message pretty quickly and start avoiding you, which is smart on their part, but also means you're running out of easy targets faster than you would like. On day 3,
about
you spot
whales?
something new. There's a pod of black and white shapes moving through
Oh, yeah,
deeper
that's right,
water
whales are in
just
deeper water,
outside
so.
the bay. And your genetics tell you that these are probably food because they're big and they're mammals. But your genetics are about 3 million years out of date, so they don't tell you that these particular mammals are orcas, and that orcas very much did not exist the last time a megalodon was swimming around. What your genetics also don't mention is that orcas hunt young sharks specifically for the liver, which they consider in their culture a delicacy. And at your
yeah.
current size, you are not a predator
Yeah,
to
or
them.
orcas
You're
are
on the menu. One of them
mean.
peels off from the pod and starts heading your way. And this is the moment where you learn a
Aside
valuable
from humans,
lesson
for some
about
reason
the
they're pretty
modern
chill with
ocean,
humans.
which is that intelligence beats size
pretty
when
chill
you're
for
alone
humans.
and
Oh,
bite
we got
size.
ads?
The orca is about 7 meters long, which means it's bigger
Excellent,
than
closed
you,
it.
and it's moving.
Do we got ads? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Are ads gonna be playing soon? I'm thinking, we're probably gonna... It looks like it does switch up from the Megalodon, so... I think we'll watch, like, maybe up to 20 minutes. And then we might play a game. Might play a game. I don't know what game. Because, yeah, my brain don't work like that. But we're gonna play a game afterwards. 100%. I can't tell if ads are playing, because I only had the little thingy that says ads are starting shortly. Suggestion, Key in the Castle? I would do Key in the Castle if it wasn't for the fact that Key in the Castle takes me 3 hours to finish a session. And I don't want to be live for too long. I don't want to be live for too long, because I still got videos to edit. And commissions to do, unfortunately. Ad break ends in 2 minutes and a half. Okay, that should be fine. Okay, I'll wait for that amount. I say we'll probably do a poll. Or I'll, like, have some games, let's see. Let's actually look while ads are going, yeah? Ooh, we could do Don't Sleep with the Fishes. That would be a quick one. We could do Mecha Chameleon. Mecha Chameleon's another one. If I felt like a shooter game, I probably would do Helldivers, but I don't really feel like a shooter game right now. You know what I mean? I do not feel like a shooter game right now. Plague? No. Dredged? I don't know. I've been having a hard time choosing games to play lately. I could also do Megabonk or like Paralives. That's not my neighbor. That's possible too. Yeah, I don't know. We will figure it out though. We're gonna do a game after this. Not after 2 hours, but after 20 minutes. Cause as much as like I am curious, and this is definitely the kind of video that I would normally watch because of how long it is. However, maybe not on stream. Maybe not on stream. Same, game choosing has been hard. Yeah. It's been... I think it's just because I got so hyper fixated on like one commission, and sometimes when I get hyper fixated on one singular thing, once that singular thing is done, my brain kind of goes into a weird I don't know, like that kind of mode. It kind of goes in that. If you do Chameleon, May You Joins, yeah. If I do Chameleon, I'll probably put it up. I'll probably go in the live hangout. You know what I mean? But yeah, ads are over. We all back from ads? Fuck yeah. Let's continue with the Megalodon in the modern ocean. Let's see how that works. Personally, I think an orca could fuck up a baby Megalodon. Maybe a baby Megalodon. I don't know about a full-grown Megalodon. That's a little different, 'cause they're pretty fucking massive. But I could definitely see a, you know, like an orca fucking up, like, you know, a baby one.
Moving with the kind of confidence that suggests it's done this countless times before. So you do the only logical thing.
Ever heard of
and
something
retreat.
called Kahoot? Oh, yeah! Would I have enough people I would be playing Kahoot? I haven't played that since high school. Damn, it's been ages since I played that game. But yeah, technically we could.
Into the murky
Technically,
shallows
we
where the
could.
bottom is too close for comfort and the water is too cloudy for them to hunt effectively. The orca stops at the edge of the shallows, makes a few clicks that you can feel in your entire body, and then leaves. Here's the thing about being a juvenile megalodon in the modern ocean. Back in the Miocene, your biggest threat was other megalodons, specifically
Basically.
adults who wouldn't hesitate to eat you if they were hungry enough, which is just standard shark behavior, and at least had the decency to be straightforward. Now your biggest threat is a highly intelligent social mammal that hunts in coordinated packs, has cultural knowledge passed down through generations, has apparently decided that shark liver is worth the effort. This is a new threat. You spend the next 5 years in and around that bay, growing about a meter per year, which sounds fast until you realize you need to get to 15 meters before you are really safe from anything. And 5 meters per year means you've got a decade of being nervous every single time you leave the shallows. And your diet
And you gotta be
expands as you
careful
grow.
with the
Sea lions when you
orcas.
can catch them, small dolphins if they're stupid enough to wander close, and large tuna that you actually have to chase, which is annoying because your body is designed for short ambush bursts, not extended.
Isn't another thing is, wouldn't a megalodon have to still, like, eat pretty decently in order to grow faster? Because it's gonna end up growing a lot, like, you know, it's gonna take a lot longer to grow if it's, like, you know, barely eating, like, barely getting by. You would probably need, like, an actual solid, like, meal all the time in order to grow fast. Oh yeah, a lot of food to grow. Exactly. So, like, even then, in the modern ocean, I don't see, like, a megalodon probably isn't gonna grow as fast. They're gonna grow, like, super, super slow. Which I'm sure he's probably accounting for based off of everything else he's accounting for, but yeah.
Pursuits. The problem you keep running into is that the modern ocean has about 70% less large prey than the Miocene ocean did,
Yeah,
which is a nice way of
exactly.
saying the buffet your DNA expects simply isn't there. That restaurant has been closed for a long time. If you'd been born 3 million years ago, this bay would have been surrounded by small baleen whales, the 5 to 10 meter variety that were slow,
Oh, and
plentiful,
those would have been
and full
perfect.
of enough blubber to keep you full for weeks. Now you've got sea lions, which are fine, but they're not whales, and the occasional dolphin, which again is fine, but not whales, and a lot of fish that you're frankly too big to be bothering with, but you eat them anyway because the alternative is starving. You are burning through more energy than your ancestors did just trying to find enough food to maintain your growth rate. And you're starting to understand why your species went extinct, which is a weird thing to understand when you're a 5-year-old shark, but here we are.
Yeah,
At 5
I don't think
meters
a 5-year-old
long, you're
shark's
too
gonna
big for the
understand
bay
that,
now.
or
You
any
keep
shark.
scraping your belly on the sand, and the prey that is
Especially
still
in
there has learned to
our
avoid you. And
climate and limited area they can live in, so yeah, exactly.
There's a pod of
Like he was
orcas
saying,
that's
there
been
was only a
hanging
small
around the
strip
entrance
that
for the
that's
past week,
actually
like they're waiting
livable.
for you to make a mistake. So you make a decision, which is that you're going to leave and head into the open
I love the
ocean.
Skyrim music
Because
in the
staying
background,
here
though.
means slowly starving, and leaving means possibly getting killed by
It's so
orcas. But
perfect.
at least the second option has better odds.
What
So
grade
you wait
A
until
editing.
night,
I love
when
it.
the orcas are less active, and you slip out of the bay into water that's deeper and colder than anything you've experienced. The first thing you notice is that the ocean is emptier than it should be. Your genetics are telling you that there should be whales everywhere, but there aren't. And that is going to be quite a big problem. 2 years go by, and the open ocean teaches you things your genetics didn't prepare you for, which is basically everything, because evolution doesn't account for the entire planet cooling down and most of your food going extinct. You're 10 meters long now, which is big enough that most things leave you alone, and the ones that don't are either confused or want to end their own lives. But there's still this nagging
understandable.
problem where you need to eat roughly 98,000 calories a day. The ocean keeps failing to provide them. So when you spot a gray whale mother and her calf migrating north along the coast, you don't hesitate. Because this is what you were built for, and also because you haven't eaten anything substantial in 3 weeks. The calf is 8 meters long, which sounds big until you remember that you're 10 meters and equipped with the jaws that can bite through a car. The
calf
mother
that
is
size
15
not gonna
meters,
do
which
anything
sounds
for a
like problem.
Megalodon.
So you remember that you're not trying to fight the mother. You're trying to eat her baby before she notices. How sweet of you. So you come up from below, which is standard ambush protocol, and you get one clean bite into the calf's flank, tearing out roughly 200 pounds of meat and blubber in a single go. And the blood in the water is immediate. The calf tries to swim, which is pretty optimistic of it, considering it just lost a chunk of its body the size of a refrigerator, and the mother starts ramming you, which is understandable, but also ineffective because you've already backed off and you're just waiting now. It takes about 40 minutes for the calf to die from blood loss, and during that time, the mother stays with it, making sounds that you can feel in your teeth. And this is the part where you'd feel something if you were capable of feeling things, but you were a shark, so instead
If you were
just wait for her to
capable.
leave, and then you feed for the
Yes.
next 6 hours. One
If you were
whale calf
capable of
equals roughly
feeling,
60
you
days
would.
of calories,
But
which
you are
means
not.
you can coast for 2 months on this single kill, and that's the most efficient math you've encountered since leaving the bay. It is a strong strategy. 3 months later, you
yeah,
run
it's
into
very
your
strong.
first great white shark, and the interaction lasts about 8 seconds, which is how long it takes for the great white to see you, process that you're twice its length, and then leave the area completely. This is interesting for a couple reasons. The first being that great white sharks basically didn't exist when your species was around. The second being that they might have evolved specifically to fill the gap that you left when you went extinct, which means in a weird
yeah.
way, this great white is only here because your species died out, and now you're back, so that's kind of awkward. The great white was hunting
A little
seals
awkward,
near an
but it's
island,
fine.
and now
What the
you're
fuck did you
hunting
come back
seals near
to?
an island, and the great
We are talking about what would happen if a megalodon was born in the modern day ocean. And so far, the megalodon not having a good time. Not having a good time. Finally had a lucky break with a whale, but still not having a great time. No, no. Back from nerd shit to start more nerd shit and study. You know what? But nerd shit is how the whole world goes around. Nerd shit's pretty awesome. Well, yeah, it's a whole different ass ecosystem. Exactly. And the water, like, you know, not as suitable anymore. And you don't have no big prey. Can't grow as big as you need. And orcas will fuck your shit. Like a whole pack of orcas will fuck your shit. Unless you're a fully grown megalodon, which unfortunately for us in the modern ocean, we are not. Yeah, killer whale would make glad megalodon their bitch. Oh, 100%. Like, oh my god. They already have it out for sharks. Imagine if they, like, saw, like, this massive shark that, like, you know, a pack of them could take on. Oh yeah, and a baby megalodon? Nah, like, a single orca would be all it would take to make a baby megalodon its bitch. But for, like, you know, like a bigger one, probably a pack. But still. The point is orcas will fuck their shit. And they will find it worth it, because they already like hunting sharks. Autocorrect on some shit, I swear. It'd be like that. It do be like that. But your point still got across. That's the good news.
White is somewhere else entirely, probably having an identity crisis. You eat
Yeah,
6
probably.
seals in 2 days, which barely moves the needle on your calorie requirements, but at least it's something. And you start to notice a pattern, which is that wherever you go, other predators leave. Orcas change their routes, sharks abandon hunting groups. You're reshaping the behavior of every large animal in your range just by existing, which would be impressive if it also wasn't evidence that the ecosystem has no idea what to do with you. You do not belong in this lost world. So you start
Ecosystem's
moving
like,
north,
fuck, you
following
shouldn't
the
be
whale
here.
migration routes because whales migrate and you need to eat whales. So the math is simple. But the whales are heading into the Bering Sea, which is cold, too cold, and your body starts slowing down around 12 degrees Celsius. So you stop at around 40 degrees north latitude and just wait for them to come back south. This is a problem your ancestors never had, because back in the Miocene, the ocean was warm everywhere, and whales didn't have polar refugees where they could hide from you. Now they do. They feed all summer in
And
water
now,
that you can't tolerate,
they're
and then
basically
migrate
safe.
back through your range for maybe 6 weeks out of the year, and that's your window. The rest of the year, you're hunting whatever you can find, which today happens to be a pod of
that's
sperm
not gonna
whales.
work for a megalodon.
And this goes badly for everyone involved. You target one of the calves, because of course you do, and the females immediately form a circle around it with their tails facing out, which is a defensive formation that apparently whales invented sometime in the last 2
I did
million
not know
years.
that.
You try to get through because you're hungry, and that calf is your food. And one of the females hits you with her tail. It's not enough to seriously hurt you, but it's enough to make you reconsider whether this meal is worth
like,
getting hit by multiple whales who clearly know
worth
what
it.
they're doing. So you leave. This will be an important decision. Here's what's becoming clear.
Yeah, fully-
You're hunting
Fully grown, it would take a whole pod, but depending on the circumstances, though, you gotta take that into account. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Because, like, for example, if the Megalodon is already smaller, like, on the smaller side because it's not eating well, right? And that means that most likely it's not gonna have the same level of energy to actually be able to fight back. You know what I mean? And because it's way bigger and in a much colder ocean area, even though it's warmer there enough for them to move, it's still not gonna be great. Not gonna be great at all. It would be hunted by humans if it went that way. Yeah, I feel like the Megalodon would have been something that if humans were capable of hunting it around the time, well, not only capable, humans were actually around, right? And were actively able to hunt it during that time, humans would 100% take it down. So quickly, in fact. 100%. Especially if it was, like, hunting whales, because, I mean, it would need to hunt whales. And you know how humans are about, like, or at least how humans were about, like, the whales, you know, whales, because of the oil and everything. You're back. Welcome back, Dr. Meow. We were taking a little dive as a Megalodon for a moment before we hop into a game. Don't know what game yet, but we're gonna hop into a game. Just haven't figured it out.
3 to 4 times more often than your ancestors
brain is
did.
still
You're traveling
melting,
twice as
so-
far to find prey, and you're burning through energy like you're trying to heat a house with the windows open. Back in the Miocene,
That
a
fucking
shark your
walks,
size
though.
could eat 1 medium whale every 2 months and be fine, because the ocean was warm and whales were everywhere, and you didn't have to chase them into polar water to find them. Now you're eating 1 whale every 2 months, plus seals, plus large fish, plus whatever else you can catch, and you're still operating at an energy deficit most weeks. The ocean your DNA expects is gone. What's here instead is colder, emptier, and has whales that are either
What if
too
I
big
play
to kill
Warframe?
safely
Oh,
or
yeah, I
smart enough
could
to
do a
defend
horror
themselves
game,
in
too.
ways that make you rethink your life choices. You're surviving barely in an environment that is
I might do Don't
without
Sleep with the
you.
Fishes,
Your
so I
species
can
went
show you
extinct
guys what the
because of
game
this
is like.
exact problem.
So I realize I
and
haven't
you are starting
streamed
to
it.
see why. But you don't go extinct.
I
At
have a lot
least
of
not yet.
ideas.
And 15 years later, you're 17 meters long and weighs somewhere around 50 tons, which makes you the largest predatory shark in the ocean by a distance so large that it's almost unfair to other sharks. Except fairness isn't really part of the way ocean does its business. At this size, nothing can kill you except maybe a coordinated pod of extremely motivated orcas. And even then, they would have to catch you in the right mood, which is to say distracted or injured. Because on a good day, you could bite one of them in half and the others would get the message pretty quickly. So you've been patrolling the same route for the past decade, which runs from Baja up to
that's where
northern
we're at right
California
now.
and back down, and then sometimes across to Hawaii depending on when the humpback whales are breeding. And this route is now essentially yours because every other large predator has learned to be somewhere else when you show up. The great white sharks that used to hunt seals off the coast have moved their operations further north into colder water where you won't follow them. And the orcas that used to own these hunting grounds now avoid you entirely after you killed two of them in separate incidents over the years. They learned. That's the thing about intelligent prey. They remember. The whale populations are changing too. Specifically, the mothers have started taking different migration routes to avoid areas where you've been spotted, which is a reasonable response to a 50-ton shark that's been eating their kids for 15 years. But it's also
they're not going to
making your
react
job harder
very
because now
nicely
you have to hunt over an even wider area to find them. You've now eaten 47 gray whale calves since you reached adulthood, which sounds excessive until you remember that you need to eat roughly one large animal per month to maintain your weight. And 47 calves over 15 years is actually below that average, which means you've been supplementing with a lot of smaller prey that barely registers on your calorie needs. Here's where it gets interesting from an ecosystem perspective though. The northern Pacific gray whale population is about 20,000 individuals, and you've personally killed 47 of their calves, which is 0.23% of the population. And while that doesn't sound like much, consider that you're one shark and you're measurably impacting a species' breeding success. Back when your kind was thriving, there were probably dozens of megalodons in the Pacific alone, and there were
Imagine like what a pack of megalodons could do to the whale population. Like if all of the right conditions were met for them, imagine how quickly they would decimate the whale population. Yeah, like that would be like over, basically. It'd be over before we could even do anything about it, realistically. You know what I mean? Like, if everything happened to be perfect for megalodons, and there were at least, like, I guess in this case, if one is able to do that, then we'll say like 5 or 6 megalodons, right? Like you know, like a little, like a herd of megalodons. Maybe not all together, because I don't know how big of a herd they have, or if they're solo animals. Probably solo with how big they are. But point being is imagine having like that many of them, like, you know, 5 or 6 of them in the ocean. Yeah, human has done that, or well, humans have definitely impacted the whale population dramatically, and that's why there's not as many whales as there was during the megalodon's time. Because I feel like if we didn't fuck with the whales, there probably would be a lot more, you know what I mean? But we fucked with the whales big time. So yeah, their population is already low because of us. And then when you put like, you know, maybe like 5 or 6 megalodons in the ocean, like a perfect ocean for a megalodon, they would take out the whale population in like a matter of days. You know what I mean? We're still hunting them, true, although slowly, hopefully faster, but I have noticed slowly that, you know, there are people that are putting in efforts to protect them. There's laws that are being put into place. The only issue is not only do some countries not do those laws, but it's also really hard to enforce laws out in the open ocean. It's really difficult to enforce laws in the open ocean. Yeah, and only a few countries do it. Yeah, exactly. So, like, there have been efforts put into place to protect the whales, and there has been less of a need to hunt whales. However, that's not enough. We definitely need to do more. But yeah, it's also a really hard law to enforce, especially when only a few countries enforce it.
Way more whales to compensate. So the system balanced out. Now there's one of you
for
and
the
fewer
biddies.
whales, and you're taking a slice that the population can
I love
technically
how it just
afford
said message,
lose,
and
but
even
just barely. And humans have noticed, which was inevitable because humans notice everything and then make it everyone else's problem. Satellite tags on whales keep disappearing, and when whale carcasses wash up on beaches, they have these massive bites taken out of them that don't match any known predator. And shipping vessels have reported seeing something
For sure.
extremely large near the surface, that's definitely not a whale because it's got a dorsal fin and it's moving wrong. Scientists are confused, which is understandable. Governments are concerned, which is less understandable because governments are usually concerned about the wrong things. And someone somewhere is probably
my
already
God,
suggested
so
killing
true,
you for the
though.
public safety, which is rich considering humans spent the last century hunting whales down to 10% of their original numbers, and now they're worried about one big shark. The question everyone's asking is, what do you do with
Well, it's because when we do it, it's different. For us, as, ignorant humans we are, it's benefiting us, so it doesn't matter. But the moment that, like, another creature starts doing it, now, no, another animal doing it, we're not allowed to let another animal do it. Only one species on this planet can do whatever the fuck it wants, apparently.
50-ton
Oh my
shark
God.
that eats
Harpy
endangered
cannon?
species? Do you protect it because it's
Right?
the last of its kind? Do you kill it because it's
Or
eating things
harpoon.
you've decided
I don't know
are
why I said
important?
harpy.
Or do you try to
Harpoon.
track it and study it and hope it doesn't eat anyone's boat? Well, you don't care about any of this because you're a shark and you have no concept of human laws or conservation ethics. You just know
Yeah.
that you're hungry and there's food in the ocean, and sometimes that food has a satellite tag on it. Your hunting strategy has evolved,
I mean,
which is a
you
nice way
probably
of
don't
saying
even
you've
register
gotten
it
more
has a
desperate
tag
and
on it.
opportunistic as you've aged. You scavenge now, which you didn't do much as a younger shark, and you've learned that fishing vessels dump a lot of dead fish overboard, so you follow them sometimes and eat the bycatch, which is not dignified, but hey, it's free calories. You've also
Yeah,
figured out that
it's true.
certain oceanic
You're
islands
already
have
lacking
whale
calories.
populations that congregate nearby at specific times of year, so you time your migrations around that, and you've gotten very good at
I love the
ambushing whales near the
Photoshop
surface
to
where they're
Megalodon.
breathing because that's when they're the most
It's so
vulnerable.
beautiful.
Last
I love
month,
it.
you even killed a blue whale calf, which was the biggest
Just
prey
fucking eat a
item
boat
you've
at this
ever
point?
successfully taken.
Yeah,
And
but it
blue
might
whale
not
calves are
provide them
born
with
at
any
7 meters
calories.
long and weigh
Like, they
about
might not
2
be able
to
to
3
digest
tons.
all of
So
the
this is
materials from the
significant.
boat.
The mother was 25 meters, and there was nothing you
And it
could
might just
do
cause
about her.
issues.
She's too big, too fast, and too aware. And if you tried to fight an adult blue whale, you would probably win eventually, but you'd also probably get seriously injured in the process. And an injured
Yeah, blue
megalodon is a
whales
dead
are fucking
megalodon because you
massive.
can't hunt effectively with broken bones. So you waited until the calf was separated during a deep dive, you came up from below, and you got one bite that was enough. The mother came back and found her calf dying and stayed with it until the end. And then she left, and then you fed for 8 hours straight. Here is the thing
Well,
about blue
shit.
whales, though. They didn't get this big until after.
The Photoshop is 10 out of 10. I mean, shit, it's better than Gen AI. I definitely, I will say that. They'd swallow it. They would swallow it. But just because they swallowed it doesn't mean that their stomach is going to appreciate all of the metal and the wood and all of this, like, inorganic material. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna probably end up killing it in the end. So yeah, I mean, it could. But, like, I doubt they give a fuck. I'm pretty sure that they're gonna look at this, like, metal boat that's above them, and they're gonna be like, I don't think that's food. And then they're gonna go buy it. Even if they know that there's people on it, there's, like, you still have all of this metal, and I'm pretty sure their genetics are telling them, yeah, I probably can't eat that. You know what I mean? I feel like it would. If it had fish on it, I think if it already knew that the fish were getting thrown overboard, I think it's more realistic that it would wait for the overthrown fish. Oh, I meant while they're, like, dumping it out, like, bite at it. Oh, yeah, maybe, like, bite at it or kind of nudge it. I don't think that they would want to swallow any pieces. I don't think it would swallow any pieces. Because I'm pretty sure the moment that it would take a bite, it would be like, oh, what the fuck? And it would, like, spit it back out, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way that a megalodon or any fish that would like, you know, fully, like, try to eat a boat. Maybe, like, nudge at it if it's big enough, or, like, maybe, like, nip at it. Might tear some chunks off, but it's not gonna eat it. No, it definitely won't eat it. You're finally done with your power plant. Only thing is if you get better fuel, you have to upgrade it and change it. So basically, you're done with it, but in order to do anything better with it, you kind of need to change what you did. Nudge mostly? Yeah, I feel like nudging would be mostly what it would do, because it would, like, probably try to nudge it to, like, get the fish off, you know what I mean? Because if you nudge the boat, and the fish start falling off of the boat, then it's gonna end up, like, it's like a cat with, like, you know, the little, like, treat toys, right? Where, like, you put the treats in the little ball, and if they push it around, the treats will fall out, you know what I mean? And eventually they're like, okay, if I keep nudging it and pushing it, then I get food. So it would probably do the same thing with a boat. It would keep nudging it as the food falls off or it comes out. And it might even get to the point where it over tips it, like, you know, it tips it over, and then, like, the people and everything else come falling out, and now it's like, ooh, I really get food by doing this. So it's gonna go around and start nudging all of the ships. I mean, orcas fuck with turrets and such. I can only imagine a megalodon would fuck with one. I feel like orcas are more intelligent than megalodons, though. Are they not? Because orcas are definitely more intelligent, and they definitely like fucking with things. From everything I've heard about orcas, they definitely like fucking with things, that's for sure. They like testing the water, seeing where their limits lies. They are very intelligent. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm like, I don't think a megalodon would do the same thing. I think a megalodon would have an intelligence maybe a little bit closer to a great white. I mean, granted, great whites are still somewhat intelligent, but I don't think they're as intelligent as an orca.
After your species went
If I'm
extinct,
right, orcas
probably
have
because
their
you weren't around to
intelligence
keep them
stats
anymore,
max.
which
Oh,
means
yeah.
the whales got bigger
They would have
specifically
to.
because you were gone, and now you're back, and the whales are too big for you to hunt.
I think that's the
safely,
same for
except
leopard
the
seals. I think
calves.
leopard seals
There's
are
almost
also very
something
intelligent
funny about
too.
that if you ignore how depressing it is. You are now 25 years old, and you've probably got another 20 or 30 years left, and you've killed hundreds of large animals in that time, and you've survived in an ocean that wasn't designed for you and has no real way to support you long term except through sheer stubbornness on your part. Can one megalodon actually survive in the modern ocean? Yes, apparently. Can you thrive? Not really. The ocean's too cold, the prey's too scarce, and you burn more energy finding food than your ancestors ever had to. And you can't reproduce
It would not
because
be
you're
a very
alone.
efficient
And even if you
species.
could, there's not enough food to support a population of sharks your size. So you keep swimming, you keep hunting, and keep existing in a lost world that moved on without you 3 million years ago. You're the last megalodon again, just like your species was at the end, except this time there is no population to sustain you. You're just one shark doing laps between whale migration routes while slowly running out of options. The modern ocean can support one megalodon, barely, but only if that megalodon is willing to work 3 times as hard as its ancestors did and accept that it's never going to be anything more than a ghost
Which is
in an ecosystem
unlikely.
that has already forgotten it. That's it. That's the answer. Can a megalodon survive in our current ocean? Yes, but there is a huge catch.
Well, here's another thing, is basically what he was saying, kind of, but he didn't entirely say this. But this is something that I've always heard, especially when I've always looked up animal husbandry, which if you guys don't know what that means, it basically just means, like, animal care, like, you know, how you care for an animal. But when I'm always looking up animal husbandry, the number one thing that a lot of videos will make sure that they, like, you know, really, really, like, make sure you understand is surviving is not the same as thriving. Yeah, an animal could be surviving just fine, but just because it's living and it's living a long time doesn't mean that it's having a good life. It doesn't mean that it is fully enriched. It doesn't mean that it has the stimulation it needs mentally. It doesn't mean that it's, like, you know, it's gonna be like it's not something that you can, like, measure just by, like, if they're living, you know? Like, how they thrive is how they interact. It's how they, like, you know, get their enrichment, how they interact with their food, how much food they eat, how little food they eat. It means everything on whether or not an animal is thriving. And when you are taking care of an animal, or when you are trying to make sure an animal is having good care, if you want good care is thriving. That is good care. below adequate care that is normally bare minimum, unfortunately, for a lot of animals, is not thriving, that's surviving. Just because it's living doesn't mean that it is going to be having a good life. Doesn't mean that it's having a fulfilling life. It would be like if you put a person in like a little like cage. You know what I mean? Not orcas beat them and are smarter in social intelligence, adaptability, learning, and communication. Well, I think that does make sense because we can't. Orcas are one of the species that we can't keep in captivity for very long, right? We can only keep them for moments where we're like helping them like heal. Or if like there's like an issue or something and we're helping them get back out. But yeah, we can't keep them in captivity like we can like great whites. Because great whites, I'm pretty sure if you go to like a zoo that had that kind of exhibit, you can still have great whites in like a zoo or an aquarium or wherever is, you know, a great white would be displayed at. I don't know. But you can't do the same with orcas. Or orcas are not possible. It's just the same for the sea lions I mentioned. No, the sea leopards. It's the same for like the sea leopards that I remember researching, or this leopard sea lions. I don't know, I had leopard in the name and they were they look like a seal. But yeah, it's the same with them. They also can't be kept in captivity. Last time that they did, they ended up dying out because basically they didn't know how to mate. And by the time that the male finally learned how to like attract a mate and properly mate with the other, all of their like the females died from like illness. So I don't think they can be kept in captivity either.
Being born right now, which is already quite a strange way to start your day, but here's the thing. You're being born underwater.
Okay, this is the next one. We'll put a pause here. I know I said 20 minutes, but the Megalodon kind of already stopped. This is like the next one. So, let me go ahead. Also, Prince of Foxes, welcome on in. We're about to switch to a game right now. I don't know what game yet. I do not know what game yet, but we'll figure it out. I think I'm gonna make a poll real quick. Of some games that I was